we're now going to move into some proper serious cricket conversations on the Fairplay Super Over. And I want to actually stay with Australia, who are currently in India at the moment, and they've got a fascinating final test coming up in Ahmedabad. Great comeback from them in the third test. Steve Smith back as captain because Pat Cummins had to go home. What do you think of Australia's chances and the way they've been able to come back in that series?
Yeah, it's been an amazing series, and welcome to the Super Over, the Fairplay Super Over. I hope you have fun with this one. It's more serious, more cricket-related stuff. And Lung's just touched on the Aussie-India series. What a fantastic series. It's been incredible to see Australia come back. I'm not surprised, but what I am surprised about is India leading 2-0 in a series. Normally, the law of averages and stats tell you no one comes back from that. So, very impressed with the Aussie performance, pulling it back from 2-0 down to 2-1. They're going to the final test match now in Ahmedabad. They're expecting 90,000+ people to join in the test match, which is incredible. I think that's breaking some records. And yes, Pat Cummins not playing in that test match. Steve Smith back into the captaincy. It is interesting. I would stick with Cummins for the future, but I don't think Australia will lose out having Steve Smith and a leading. He's a guy who leads by example. He's a nitty-gritty kind of guy, mentally very tough. It's going to be a great test finale.
One of the key players for Australia is Travis Head and the way that he's played. You've also played in India where sometimes you've had to survive. You batted out a day with Hash, but you've also been on the front foot. Just how difficult is it to switch from first gear to fifth gear and take the game to an Indian team on turning tracks?
Yeah, it depends what track you're playing on, and I think it's a little bit different in Ahmedabad. From what I remember, my last test match I played there, the first 2 hours the ball was swinging, it was nipping around. I think we bowled out India for 78, if I remember correctly. So it's not a dead cert when the toss and bat first. It's a little bit different to your normal. Depends what the wicket looked like. Obviously, wickets change from year to year, season to season. But what I do remember, it's one of the wickets that gives you enough with that new ball to nick some players off. So it's going to be interesting test match to watch. And the way to play spin there, you have to be attacking. You can't allow the spinners, Ashwin, Jadeja, and the likes of Akshar Patel. In the Aussie side, Lyon, and they've got some new faces there, Kuderman. Anyway, if you play spin, you let them bowl to you on turning tracks, you're walking wicket. So you'd see guys like Travis Head, some of the Indian batters, why they do well is they always have intent and they take it to the bowlers. Without taking too much risk, I feel they always show intent.
Okay, we've spoken about the Aussies. Let's touch on that Indian team. One man who's not fired yet but has looked in decent touch is Virat Kohli. Do you expect a big performance from Virat in that final test?
He's been a little bit unlucky in this series so far. So it's nice to see him moving well. I see he's hungry. And that's what I always look for with Virat. When I played against him and with him, I could always see that spark in his eye. And when that's there, it means trouble for the opposition. I'm seeing that at the moment. He's been unlucky, which sort of makes that hunger even more. I'm excited to watch him play. I think this wicket's going to suit him well. A little bit of more of a conventional wicket where the seam bowlers are in play. He loves that. He loves the all-round challenge with spin and seam and to show that he's the complete batter, which he is. So I'm looking forward to a big 100 from him.
You touched on Ravi Jadeja and Ravi Ashwin. You faced them at their peak in India. There's lots of bowling combinations around the world. Broad, Anderson, McGrath, Warne, Steyn, Tini over the years. But how hard is that duo to face when they're firing?
They're completely different bowlers. That's the tough side of the task. Jadu, very flat, straight at the wickets, very competitive player. And those are the kind of guys that always threatens the batters, the guys that are in your face. You know he's there to get you out. He's not a guy that's just going to come on and bowl. And you can immediately feel when a bowler is just there to bowl his overs. Jadu and Ashwin, both completely different bowlers, but both very competitive. They have almost this healthy competition going between them as well. They want to be the guy. Jadu wants to be the guy to get 5. Ashwin wants to be the guy to get 5. So it's a very healthy scenario for the Indian spinners there, or the Indian team, to have two spinners like that, world class, both of them. Ashwin slower through the air with all the variation, very smart. You can look at him change his field placings all the time, and just very, very tough. The both of them ask questions all the time.
Who wins the fourth test?
It's a tough one, and what I do like about this test match, I don't think it's going to come down to the toss. not that the other three have done so, because I know that India won the toss and the last one batted first and it didn't work out. So it just shows you you can turn it around even if you lose the toss here. But I do think Ahmedabad gives you the best balanced wicket. So the toss is going to be out of it. And you're going to have your stuff together as a batter. You'll have to be able to play swing bowling, a little bit of nip with a new ball, and then to look after the spinners for the rest of the innings. I do feel India will be fine. I don't know if they're going to win. I'm not saying it's going to be a draw, but I don't think India's going to lose the series.
Okay, I can't let you go without talking about another test match that's starting this week. South Africa against the West Indies, second test. South Africa obviously won at Centurion. I've got one question. Aiden Markram and the way that he came back, we touched a bit on it with the key partnership with Graham.
Yeah.
But how good is it to see him play the way that he played at Centurion?
And thanks to the SA20, that was his sort of breakthrough tournament. He's been up and down with his form. He's one of my favorite players to watch. He really is. I do love watching him bat. I went on a lot about it with my commentating. And when he doesn't perform, it's almost frustrating. You get like anxious because you want this guy to do well because you need him in the team. The Proteas need him in all the formats, in all the teams to score hundreds. And that's what he's capable of, to be one of the best in the world. It's great to see him bat well again, that 100 in that first innings. He looked good again in the second innings. So I'm looking forward to watching him play, and I'm looking forward to watch someone like Themba Bavuma score runs in the next test. He also showed some form in that SA20, and I feel he's very close to scoring some big hundreds.
He joined a club that you're part of getting a pair as captain. No. Well, we're here now. Tough gig to be captain and obviously start off with a pair, but it happens in cricket.
Yeah, I'll never forget mine. It's towards the back end of my career playing against England. I started very well in that series, feeling good, and all of a sudden things started changing. And not nice to face Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad when they're on top of their games and you're not quite moving as well as always. That's what I felt at Supersport Park, my home ground as well. We won the test match, which is always a bonus, so it's not something that I lull on too much. If we lost that test match, it would have been even worse. But yes, it's something you take on the chin, you move on, and then you try to become a better player after that.
And who wins that second test at the Wanderers?
I think South Africa playing at the Bull Ring. We get our home crowd behind us, and I feel we're going to be fine. There's enough experience there. Our bowling attack sharp. We'll have to watch out for the West Indies bowling attack. That's never been their problem. I know in the batting department they're a little bit inexperienced, but if they put runs on the board, they might put us under pressure. So let's see what happens.
Okay, I'm going to have to push you on the next round of quick singles because obviously you're dawdling in between the wickets. But I'm going to let you wrap up for this first episode of the 360 Show, Abbas.
Happy days. Thank you very much for joining us. I think that's a wrap. Let us know in the comments what you want to hear. As you realize now, we follow 4 segments to cover a little bit of everything. The new ball, the key partnerships, the quick singles, and the Fairplay Super Over, which is more serious. And I'll dive a little bit deeper into the cricketing stuff next week, where I'll give you some tips about what I feel about individual players around the world, about teams and their performances, and also, which we didn't cover in this series or this episode, the Women's Premier League. It's still very fresh. 2 weeks from now, I'll be covering a little bit more about that. Thanks for joining the very first 360 show, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time on Tuesday.